Now the election back and I'll die away. In short, this is what I have to say. Let us forget fights and grudges and concentrate. Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that's the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together. Oh, yeah, yeah. Remember, the key to success is working hard. For our country, we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let we start to build. And onward to progress we surely will.
Come, my brother, come, my sister, let us build Grenada together. That's the call. I want to welcome you to the hub, and may I say from the start, the folks from Grenlec, they're working very hard in Carriacou, and that's where our main station is located. So at this point, they're without power. Some parts of Carriacou are without power. So as a result, we are not on radio, right? We are not on radio, but we are on social media. We have to continue with the work. We cannot give up. So again, saying to you, there might be people who will call you and say, but how? I'm not hearing Kem. Why is it I am not hearing Kem on the radio? But in Carriacou, remember, they suffered some serious losses at the Grenlec plant up there when it was partly destroyed by fire. So they're constantly doing work to bring it back to a state of normalcy. All right? So again, just giving you a heads up so you can at least know how to respond if a friend calls you and say, hey, I'm not hearing Kem Jones tonight. I want to start off by saying to you, wherever you are, the media seem to be on a crusade to undermine this legitimate government. I don't know what they are missing. I don't know who they're angry with within the government, but it seems as though they are working overtime to undermine this government. And they know whoever controls the media controls the narrative in this country. And there are a lot of people who supports the NNP, and they lost. They're still hurt, and it will take some time for them to heal. But they have the money to wheel and deal within the media. And that is something that cannot be disputed. There are people within the media who is somewhat vulnerable. They are somewhat exposed to these elements because their salaries are extremely low. In some instances, they are not paid properly. In some instances, they don't get the kind of ads that they want to be able to cover their bills when the month end, pay staff and everything like that. So they're going for the highest bidder. So they're given money, they're given assistance, they're given stuff to twist the news, to package the news in such a way that you're going to get a certain feel. So, for example, the issue of the Simone Pearls Bridge, that should not be any big news. The issue of security companies, contract, coming to an end and they may not be renewed, should not be in mainstream news. In an ideal situation, that would not be any big news in Grenada. But if those opposition forces are influencing what the newsrooms would put out, then that will become big news. In other words, a security company, the majority of security companies that got contracts when the NNP took over government in 2013, the majority, not all, but the majority of the owners of those companies, they are supporters of that said party. The majority of them. We cannot run away from that reality, right? The NNP administration from the government, they're in the government, and as a result, they're going to look for their people to give that kind of assistance. It is simple. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that. So a lot of the people who got the contracts, they are supporters of the NNP administration. They're loyalists. So they got the contract to start up a security company and to secure a ministry or a facility or somewhere. But before that, you had NDC people. Some of them got some contracts or the same contracts to secure the same places that the NNP people got the contracts for when NNP came into power. Right? So NDC was there from 2008 to 2013. They tried to give their people assistance and support and help. So they got some contracts to set up the security company and to do their stuff. You cannot run away from that. NNP came into power between 2013 to 2022, and their people, at least some of them, are NNP supporters, and they got contracts to be, to have their security companies and to secure certain government properties and so on. That is something that you cannot run away from. When the contract comes to an end, the government can decide whether to keep the same security company or whether to get a new one. It is up to the government because remember, they are on contract. The government is not just kicking them out, No. They're on contract, and it is within the right of the government. It is within government's right to decide whether they keep or whether they allow them to go. Right? So for that to be news, it is a big joke because that's the normal process. But not only that, the news gave the impression that these people were employed with the government of Grenada. They were not employed with the government of Grenada. They were employed with the security company. And that's important. So this thing becoming news and giving people impression that government making some people go or doing something of that sort, that is totally false. That is not the case. I want to repeat, that is not the case. The government has a right to decide whether they keep that security company whose contract came to an end or whose contract will end come month end. Just look around. Look at the people who got security contracts. The majority of them are supporters of the NNP during the NNP time. And a similar thing can be said for the NDC during the NDC time. So that's kind of normal. It's a normal thing. But the reason why it is news and the reason why it's big news is because there seem to be people with money who has an axe to grind with this government with the mere fact that this government won a very impossible, quote unquote, impossible election because to a lot of people in the NNP, it was somewhat impossible for the NDC to win, but they won the election fair and square. So they have an axe to grind and they have money and they are still influencing the media in many different ways. For example, look at who they went and interviewed. Tobias Clement. Tobias, and I'm not saying that that particular news item or that particular news story is one where the reporter or the station or the company was influenced by anyone. I am generalizing to say that it seems to me like elements of the opposition forces are influencing the narrative from the different media houses. And to me, if that was not the case, simple things like the boat bridge in Simona Pulse or the security company contract coming to an end and the government has to either keep them or let them go, that would not have been a big news item. That may not have even gotten a little space in the news. But I am saying we have to be realistic. When your party wins the election, your party has supporters too. And people who are looking for opportunities. So any smart party will try to find opportunities for their supporters. That's common sense. When the NNP was in power, they looked for all avenues to give their people job opportunities. That is why some of the security companies that got contracts under the NDC, when their contracts came to an end, and in some instances, it did not even end, they find some way of getting rid of them. But when the contract came to an end, it is up to the government to keep them or get a new company to do the work. So to come in the media and give people the impression that the government finds some people or making people go. That is false. So you're saying to me that these security companies, their only client is the government of Grenada? I'm asking the question. Does the only client the government of Grenada? It's amazing. It's intriguing, in fact, because you have this thing making the news, and come month end, these people have to find some work somewhere else. So you're saying to me that security or those security companies, the only client they have is the government of Grenada? And even if their contract is not renewed, why then should you give the impression that the government making these people go? No, they're not. But the NDC folks who under the NDC administration from 2008 to 2013 did not complain like the NNP who are complaining now. They kept pretty silent. But you know, the NNP folks, they have always been the main complainers. They have always been the people out there crying on the radio station, bawling on the TV station, complaining on the internet about every and anything. So the NNP knows that, and they are preying on their vulnerability. So as a result, all these little things become big news. A boat bridge in Simone. In fact, today I saw photos, or not photos, but a video of that boat bridge. Come on, the boat bridge is not suitable for any traffic or anybody to walk on, to pass on. But these people are making you believe that this thing is some big crisis. And as a result, this community is locked off. So they can't go to and from work. That is the idea they're giving people, you know. This false idea. And as though they want to force the hands of government to fix this thing and fix it now, or else. That is exactly what they are doing. They're giving people this false impression, this false idea. So now they're saying no update has been given as yet. And you ask yourself, what in the world is happening? Because it's amazing. It's you know, somewhat silly, if you ask me, right? How is it that a boat bridge that is almost collapsing could be the biggest thing on news? How is that so? I hope somebody could answer that, you know. But it's the condition of the thing, you know. I'm trying to get the actual video for you that GBN showcase, because I think it is important for you to actually see for yourself what I'm talking about. The bridge is impossible. It's a hazard to the community. But they want to force government to fix it and fix it now. But it's not an emergency, because there's ample. Just look at some of the videos here.
No update has been given on the refurbishment or reopening of the Simone Main Bridge. That's the word coming from Member of Parliament for St. Andrew Northeast, Kate Skeeter Lewis Peters, as she expressed concerns within her constituency. On Friday, March 3rd, the Ministry of Infrastructure and Physical Development, Public Utilities, Civil Aviation and Transportation issued a notice to the public that the Seamoon Main Bridge would be temporarily closed to vehicular traffic from the date of issuance of the release until further notice. This closure, the ministry said, is necessary for repair works due to broken lumber, rendering the bridge unsafe for vehicular traffic. As a result, the general public, particularly motorists, have been advised to use alternative routes and exercise caution when traversing the area. MP Louis Peters is calling on government to at least provide residents with an update on the status of the bridge and government's plans for refurbishing it.
Over 3 months now, the closure of the Seamoon Pulse Bridge. It's a boat bridge, and of course we know that it requires regular maintenance. However, for the past 3 months, that bridge has been closed off to the public, and residents are, of course, inconvenienced at the moment. I have actually received many calls, many complaints. There is an association of returning nationals. They have led a petition of over 200 signatures.
Right, so we are not
asking
interested in
for
hearing what Pete has
information.
to say. Because, look, folks, this thing is common sense, you know. Kate Skeeter, Kate Lewis, something like that, Peters, whatever her name is. This woman was the member of parliament for that area 5 years, for 5 years, you know. In fact, the next month and 2 weeks or so will make us 6 years as a member of parliament there, serving that constituency. About that. And you look at the condition of the bridge. That is what you have to look at. And the minute time you watch the condition of the bridge, you would realize that this thing was not repaired for a long time. Just
No update has been given on the refurbishment or reopening of the Seamoon Main Bridge. That's the word coming from Member of Parliament for St. Andrew North East, Kate Skeeter Lewis Peters, as she expressed concerns within her constituency. On Friday, March 3rd, the Ministry of Infrastructure and Physical Development, Public Utilities, Civil Aviation and Transportation issued a notice to the public that the Seamoon Main Bridge would be temporarily closed to vehicular traffic from the date of issuance of the release.
right. So all you need to do is just look at the condition of the bridge, you know. The video I'm showing you there. That's the actual bridge. It's rot. It's old. It seems as though they have not repaired that bridge in years. They have not done any work on that bridge in years. And it cannot be inconveniencing these people because they have many different roads to get to and from Pearls and to and from Seamoon. That's not the only road. So there is no urgency. There is no, in other words, there should be no urgency to fix that bridge. I'm telling you. And it's a temporary bridge. It's a wooden structure. You can't just go right now and just put some wood on it and that's it. The structural integrity of that bridge has been compromised. It's rotten. A total new bridge, even if it's wood, a completely new bridge has to be built there. So for Kate Lewis to come and talk about inconvenience and talk about 3 months now, the bridge has been closed, and to talk about some returning nationals did petition to have this thing reopened and 200 signatures. The people who signed this thing, they don't even know what's going down. They don't even understand what's happening. Come on. But they want to force the hands of the government to say to the government, you have to fix this and fix it now or else. That is exactly what they are trying to do because they want this government to collapse. They want this government to be unable to meet its commitments. That is exactly what they want. But they're not going to get it. But I am saying the reason why this is news is because there are elements who are influencing what goes out on some of those media outfits. in my belief, which is dangerous because any reasonable journalist will not see this as a story, because they will then ask, how long has that bridge been erected or built? They would ask the member of parliament, what did you do to improve the condition of that same bridge? Because you were there and you're still the member of parliament. What did you do when you were in government, when your party formed the government, to improve the condition of that bridge? That is what a sensible journalist would ask. When was the bridge built? And two, what did you do as a member of parliament when your party was in government to improve the condition, to better the condition of the bridge? And not only that, why was this bridge constructed in the first case? It was a temporary bridge, temporary, but it remained permanent because you know how things goes in Grenada. But if Kate Lewis was so concerned about vehicular traffic and people moving from Perth to Simoon or in that area, she would have done some work to improve the bridge so it would not run down to that condition. It would not reach that condition. And that's the real thing here, you know. If you maintain something like you have a wooden house and one piece of wood is rotten, right? And you remove that piece of wood and you put a new one, then it saves you in the medium to long term from buying 10 pieces or 20 pieces. You repair it on the go. You have a vehicle, you make sure you take care of it. If there are problems, you fix it. So it would always be in good condition. What we are saying, it is the same thing that should happen with that bridge. What did Kate Lewis do when she was in government as the member of parliament? Now she's in opposition as the member of parliament. And this is common sense. Look at the condition of the bridge. The wood rotten. And you cannot tell me that in 10 months, the wood on that bridge started rotting or reached that state. You just can't tell me that. Any person with common sense will know that. So I am saying we have to understand what the media is doing in this country. And I believe they're seeking to undermine this legitimate government. That's my belief. Because news items like these should never be in the mainstream news. Never. I'm telling you. Because I'm repeating that, you know, a sensible, a reasonable, an intelligent journalist or reporter will not just make this a news item by taking what the minister says and run with it. Not the minister, sorry, but former minister, but member of parliament for that area. You would not just take that alone. You would ask her, how long was that bridge there? You would go further to ask, what did you do to improve that bridge? And the answer is zero, nothing. She did, in my humble belief, it seems as though she did nothing in that particular area or on that particular bridge. That's how it seems. Because look at the condition of the bridge. So they're making that an issue. And it is now mainstream. Mainstream news. The bridge, and they're waiting for a status update. They want to know from the government when they go repair it or when they go fix it. and then they're saying it's inconveniencing the people of the area. I want to say to you, I know that area. And you can go from a number of routes or, roads to get to Pearls and also to get to Simone. So it's not a situation where a community is locked out and they cannot get out with their vehicles, or they cannot go to and from Pearls or to and from Simone. That's not the case. So I am saying it is clear the government and the technocrats, the engineers, they did the right thing, because just watching that bridge, somebody foot could go down in those holes, a vehicle could go down, and it seemed as though the bridge was that bad while Kate Lewis was Minister of Government and a Member of Parliament. Or it seems like that condition, the condition was a similar thing, if not that bad, but similar to what exists now. So nothing much has been done to that bridge. They just leave it, let it run down. But to create confusion, to raise doubts in the minds of people, they're out here with this Nancy story. It's the same thing for the security companies. It's the very same thing for the security companies. When NDC was in power, there were a number of NDC supporters who got contracts to have a security company secure certain parts of departments, ministries, government, statutory bodies, and so on and so forth. That happened. When NNP came into power, a similar thing was done. They gave them a contract and they were free to hire their people, and jobs were given to them. I can tell you, there was a security lady in the market. They make her go. Yeah, they discovered she was NDC and they make her go. I know a number of other people who had security companies and under the NDC time, and they did not, the government, the NNP administration did not renew their contracts. So NDC in power, they believe that NDC is so dumb, right, or so stupid not to look for their people when the contract of those NNP folks are almost, or are nearly all those folks who are NNP there, to not have their people get the opportunity to get a contract or two. Come on, to employ their people. Something has to be wrong with these people. Just to think for a moment that they're actually saying, well, leave these people. Let them alone work. Let them alone eat a food. Don't make no changes. So why the Grenadian people voted for the NDC in the first case? For changes, for real changes to happen. But you know what's amazing? Let me tell you what's amazing. The NNP, their surrogates, their pundits, they are coming in front because they know they are guilty of the same thing or even worse. So they come in front and say, well, look, this security company, that security company, they would no longer have a contract with government. And look, these are the workers who will be losing their work and so on. They come in front and do these things because that's a strategy that they have always used. But the NDC is not bothered because the NDC is not doing anything wrong. They know that. Your contract comes to an end. The government reserves the right to assess your work and decide whether or not to renew that contract. That is what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. But these things should never be front page. These things should never be big stories in the media. And you see what is happening with those media outfits. I tell you this, and I've always stated here that the media historically hates NDC badly. They have always given a slant, a kind of one-sided story when it comes to the NDC. They always want to paint the NDC in a bad light. And the NDC has done more for the media than the NNP administration over the many years. I am saying the time has come for Grenadians to see through the media and to understand the sinister intent that exists within that fraternity. They are not genuine about Grenada. In other words, what they want to do is to portray the NDC as X, Y, and Z. But they're making a mistake because the Grenadian people, they are still on the side of the NDC. And that will not change. It will not change soon. It will not. Because Grenadians realize that the NDC is genuine, that the NDC is sincere about the development of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. But I am telling you all of this so you can identify it yourself whenever they do stories like these. And mind you, if the NNP is smart and concerned about feedback, getting the data to guide them, to shape what they say and what they don't, if they go and they read the comments under this news item regarding the security company and regarding the boat bridge, they would know that Grenadians are still fed up with the NNP and all of them. They would know that. All you need to do is to go under that news item and you would see the kind of negative comments left, right, and center under those videos or news items. It says something. Because remember, on social media, you have young, you have middle-aged, you have the elderly folks who are on that platform. And they're actually commenting negatively against the NNP. When Emlyn Pay went on To The Point, the comments were very, very negative towards her. When Keith Mitchell went on To The Point, same thing occurred. Negative, negative. Kate went, when she went on To The Point, same thing. Brenda Hood, when she went there, same thing. Every one of them, when they go on that program, they get real blows from the Grenadian people. Real blows. It says something. And if they're interested in data, they would know that. In fact, just before the election, remember, we were seeing a similar thing. 10 months, 8 months, 7 months before the election, all the way up to the election. When you look at the live meetings and live streams of the NNP and you read the comments and so on, they were very, very negative towards the NNP. Very negative. And we are still seeing a similar thing today. It says a lot. I am a person who is big on numbers, right? And I am saying to you, if NNP is on the ball, they would know that people are fed up with them and people just don't want to hear them. Their supporters will cheer them on because the NNP acolytes and cheerleaders and so on, they would forever be NNP cheering them on. But the people in the middle and the base, the NDC base, they would forever be on the lookout to promote and defend, but also to call out the NNP and all the rubbish that they are putting out there. And I'm happy with that because I normally go under these things to read the comments. Mainly that. And most people, they're here for the comments. They go under all these lives and so on just to read the comments. Right? So again, folks, I am saying we have to be very, very careful with the media. We have to be careful with them because they're out on a crusade to undermine, in my belief, this legitimate government. And I have no apologies to make where that is concerned. They are not genuine about the development of this country, so they would create all kinds of stories to paint the government bad. They would shape the stories in such a way to get a certain outcome. That is how they function. So I am not surprised, but I thought it is necessary for me to tell you, prepare you mentally, because more of these things will come. Expect, after the first year of NDC being in power, more attacks will come. More spin doctors will emerge within the media to spin it in such a way that they make one side look bad and they make one side look good. So again, I am saying, if you are attentive, you will observe what is taking place within the media in this country. And I have no apology to make where that is concerned. I will call it out because I believe if you're a journalist, if you're a reporter, you cannot just take one little side of the thing. You have to go deeper, really deeper, to investigate properly. That is important. But folks, we have about 13 minutes left in the program. If you're there and you want to call, you want to have your say, you can speak about anything you want to speak about. The number 415-4817, 415-4817, 415-4817. That's the number to call to be on the inside to have your say. 415-4817. That's the number to call to get on the inside.
Now the election back and I'll die away. In short, this is what I have to say. Let us forget fights and grudges and concentrate.
All right, let's take the first call. Good evening, caller. Good evening. Hello. Good evening.
Yeah, well, I want to give thanks for the program, And I would say something that came now. We farmers, we get some fertilizer, some manure, and I went for mine today, and there is no problem, there is no quarrel, there is nothing. The fertilizer People going to collect the manuals and they come back out, whatever. No problem, nothing. But, and I say again, who vexed tonight at the business? When the NMP was in office and this fertilizer was come now, I was not getting a pound of fertilizer, not even a half pound. So I want to say thumbs up to whosoever, even the government or the Cocoa Association, that they had the fertilizer for the farmers. And it was the NNP and them. We had was to follow out a lot of farm, making a set of mawet, going here and there, jumping left, right, center. So I went for mine today and thumbs up to the Cocoa Association.
Right. Tell
So
me,
I'm happy.
tell me
Yeah.
this. Are you hearing me on the radio?
Yeah,
All right, good. So we are back on.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I feel so happy. I feel so good. I feel proud because I never get a pound or half pound of fertilizer from the NNP and them government away when they was in office.
All right. Thank
They
you very
could
much.
give all the people and all the people, you know.
Plenty love.
So I gave thumbs up to the Cocoa Association for giving me my fertilizer to manual my cocoa and them
All right.
when the rain fall coming down. So
Wonderful.
I say again, hats up to them.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes, under the NDC, it's different. All right. And I know when NNP was in power, they were giving their supporters. It could be farmers, it could be fisher folks, it could be people in need of housing, it could be young people, it could be people in need of scholarships, work, everything. They would give their people first. All right. Their people first. That is what they have always done. Good
Hello.
good evening, caller.
Good evening.
Go ahead.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, I'm calling from Toronto.
Yeah, anytime you call, you don't need to say where you're calling from. All right?
Okay, all right.
You can just go ahead and
Okay.
just speak. Yeah. Thank you very much. Go
Okay
ahead.
then.
Plenty love. Go ahead.
Yes, so I'm saying that these sort of things like what Kate and they are doing on yesterday or day before yesterday, in a lot of cases, NDP, whatever they're called,
NNP.
they're just NDC,
NNP.
NNP.
Yes.
They're opening Pandora's box because when everything they come up with, and it could be rebutted, and you can see it.
No,
The
you're correct, because when you look at the condition of that bridge, you can see definitely that nothing much has been done to that bridge for many, many years.
Exactly.
And then you ask the question, but this lady has been the member of parliament for that area while her party was in government. What did they do to improve the condition of the bridge?
Exactly. And then she actually said that she lives in close proximity to where the bridge is. So I'm saying, well, okay, then you had no concern or no care for that bridge. You have not probably even visited it. So now, in order to make an issue, you're using it and showing it and having it shown on TV. People, any fool could see that this is a lot of years of deterioration. And what I'm thinking too, Keith Mitchell is using all of these people as he used Cox, the time with the investment money, whatever it was called, to go up there because he's not showing his face in those things. So when the rebuttal comes, people can see something isn't right with what you're doing. She even mentioned the $150 to make it quick. Zelma Thomas has already said it was not meant to be a prolonged day. And here in Canada, everybody got some COVID relief and they gave it to a specific time. When the time was up, that was it.
All right.
At least the NDC gave a little extension to the end of the year, whatever, from following the news. So I don't understand what they're trying to do. And people in Grenada are smarter than that. It's not back in the days when Gary said, okay, they're going to make steamship come up in Paradise River.
All right.
Those days are done.
Thank you
Those
very
days are
much.
done. So
Plenty
that's what
love.
the policy to you.
All
Okay
right.
then. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, and the caller made a very valuable point. Anytime they speak, anytime they come out and speak, they tend to open a can of worms that they cannot close back. And we have seen that over and over again. Because here, this lady came out and talked about this bridge. And people are now able to go and get actual video footage of the thing. And it makes them look extremely bad, the NNP. Good evening, caller.
Hi, Kim. Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Good, thank you. So I know you said we can call in and talk about anything that we wanted to talk
Yes.
about.
Yes.
So I wanted to talk about Mr. Sheldon Scott and the narrative that he is spreading about Grenada becoming a republic, and that the prime minister said that he wanted Grenada to become a republic in 2024, when in fact that is not true. That's not what the prime minister said. And I have the quote right here, right? So it's from Sky News, and it says the 45-year-old prime minister, who has been in office for 10 months, said he has, in quotations, hope it will happen during his leadership, but ruled out any concrete constitutional change before 2024. Now, where did the prime minister said in that interview that he wanted Grenada to become a republic by 2024? In no way did he say that. He has hopes of it happening, but he's saying nothing will happen before 2024. So why is Sheldon Scott spreading these lies? It amazes me, and they really do get me upset. But I just wanted to say that. So if there's anybody out there that's wondering, okay, well, the prime minister said we're going to become a republic by 2024, that's not true. And I encourage people to do their research, Google, and see exactly what the prime minister said. And that is my contribution tonight.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear caller. Thank you very much. Well, I did not listen to his program, and I want to assume that it's a current program, like a program happening as we speak. But I am not surprised, because that is what the NNP is good at: propaganda, misinformation, twisting up all kind of stuff to their own fancy. That is what they are accustomed to doing. So I'm not surprised. Trust me, I am not surprised at all. While I didn't hear his program, I'm not surprised.
Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So
Yes, so again, the number is 415-4817, 415-4817. So I am saying to all of us, we have to be careful with the media, because they are very powerful. If you don't know, they are very powerful. They can shape the narrative, because Grenadians consume a lot of information, and they know that. Let's take that call. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Cam Jones. How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
I bless, man. I just want to say tonight, I'm so happy. After 10 years, it takes 10 years for Patrick Simmons' name to come out and Kit Mitchell jump up. But I hope and pray that he ain't take that next 10 years before he start getting a compensation. Because I hope Patrick Simmons with his lawyer will speedy the payment, because he's a man. He does wait until you get those issues. See how he do to Darcy Charles? Darcy Charles couldn't even spend any money for himself when he get it. He's a wicked, wicked, wicked man, a young man of this country. Look, today you have to
Yeah,
get
and it was the
you have-
NNP administration, or you could say the Keith Mitchell-led administration, because it was the
yeah,
government that owed
well,
Darset all this money, and he died,
right.
sadly so.
Right, the man get dotish, break down the man property and everything. This man is a wicked man. He only did to spite people. But I hope and pray that Patrick Simmons could get his compensation shorter than 10 years. What a shame for a big prime minister in this country. He say he love young people.
All right. Thank
Good
you.
night, my brother.
Thank you very much. Again, the number is 415-4817, 415-4817. And I did extend the congratulations to Patrick Simmons on winning that case finally. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Just a little away from the subject matter. I saw something raise its head sometime last year under the new National Party administration, and it's still on today. I was spoken about it on Vibes FM last week, I think it was, the week before Thursday. And it's still on. Now, government set the price for fish, okay? And the last time I remember it was set, I think Ms. Clarice Modest, I think, would have been the minister. Anyway, fish, jacks was at $2.50 for the small ones per pound, $5 for the big ones per pound. Then fish, what we call reef fish like snapper, hine, and them fish so was $7.50 a pound. And the deep water fish like Oshangia and those fish like that was at $8.50 a pound. Today, all fish in Grenada is $10 a pound. And the ministry did not increase it prior to the election. Jacks are now selling at $10 a pound. Something needs to be done. I've spoken to some members of the association. I said, let us take 50 cents more, okay, as part of our earnings per person. And you will hear Bacchanal start. Nobody seems to be talking about the hiking price of fish and jacks in Grenada. That was done by the vendors. But if the bus association takes 50 cents on bus fare, you will hear people talk. Who are we in Grenada? Are we in that for our own personal gains? Or are we there for what? To squeeze people out? I want this government today to look into this thing and straighten that, because it's government to set the price for fish, not the vendors and fishermen. Good night.
Tonight, we are out of time. I want to thank you very much for being a part of the program tonight. I want to wish you all the best. It's now 9, and you remember Speak Out Unfiltered normally comes up after me. So again, thank you very much, and bye for now. We have to pull the curtain down.
The proceeding was a paid program. The views expressed on this program